Okay, so we have a really important episode tonight. I'm super excited. On your podcast, What is TWS? We did something like this before, but we're going to make this a two-part series, so to speak. So, are you ready to get the show started?
Why not?
Hey, everyone, and welcome to or welcome back to One Man and One Woman, the podcast. I am one half of your co hosts, Tara Michelle.
And I am J. Flan, and I'm an alcoholic.
Okay, well, let's jump right into it. So, tonight's episode is all about addiction. And as J. just introduced himself, he is going to be the star of this episode. I am going to throw out some questions for him, and he's going to give us the unabashed truth. Is unabashed a word? I think it is.
Hey,
Makes me sound
we're gonna make
smart.
it a word today. I don't know about how much of a star, like it's not a talent or something to be.
I mean, you're the
It's not an
star because
accomplishment.
this is you. No, yeah, it is an accomplishment to overcome something like this. You're definitely going to take credit for. We're not doing this tonight, okay? Thanks so much. So, the first question, and I have to ask this of you. I just want you to answer this with one word because I know what you're going to do. You're going to lead into my second question because you do that to me all the time. So, first question. Did we already say what the show was about? Yeah, we did. Let me get my life together and leave that in. I don't want to edit it out. I need people to see or hear my level of crazy. Anyway, okay. What was your drug slash substance slash poison of choice?
Alcohol, preferably potato vodka.
Okay. How would you describe your addiction?
Just a slow, melodic, just destruction. I'm definitely one of the people who believes alcohol fits the disease model. So I look at not alcohol, but addiction fits the disease model. If you look at the characteristics of what we say is a disease, addiction checks all of those boxes. But they say it's a disease of choice. It affects your ability to make rational decisions. And yeah, I made a lot of insane decisions during that time frame. It's lucky to be here.
And we are all glad that you are. Okay. When did it start?
Man, I probably took my first drink in high school, MD 2020, like most folks. I don't know what flavor it was. I was just trying to fit in, trying to be cool. Most people don't know my background, but I was like a suburban kid that went to like inner city schools, and I was the short, smart kid. So I didn't really fit in or fit anywhere. I've had the whole Carlton label on my back my whole life. So yeah, I think I was just looking for a place to be like, yeah, I'm cool too. Yeah, I do. I'm not Mr. Goody Two Shoes like y'all think I am. And I proved them right. Proved them wrong. Repeatedly.
Does alcoholism run in your family?
I believe it does. My mother tried to warn me for years. When she finally could see that I was drinking, I was very good at hiding it from her for a while. I mean, I think I started drinking while I was living in the house. So like I said, in high school, but it got consistent in like my early 20s, and I was probably still living in the house. But yeah, once she could see that it was something a road I was going down, she tried to warn me. I had several people in my family who, didn't handle it well, and we're dealing with the effects of it. And she was just trying to let me know we had a predisposition in the family. Like, we don't do well with alcohol. You might want to chill. But like most kids, I had to learn the hard way. So.
Okay. What drove your desire to drink?
Escapism. I posted something on my page the other day, and I've seen it. I saw it years ago, and I've had it. I've discussed it with people when we talk about this, like addiction as a disease model. And one of the things he was saying is that, like, Like they did an experiment. They took a rat and they put it in a cage and they gave it a water bottle like laced with heroin or something like that. And almost every time, if you put the rat in a place by itself with a bottle with water with heroin in it, they're gonna OD. They're gonna drink themselves to death until they OD. But then one of the scientists realized like we're putting this rat in a cage by itself with nothing else to do, and all we're giving it is this water. The moment they created something called like Rat Shangri-La or whatever, and it had slides and wheels and tubes, and it had other rats and everything, and it had a water bottle that was laced with heroin, and it had a water bottle that was just straight water. And in that situation, almost 100% of the rats like rejected the heroin water. Like they didn't need it if they had community or involvement or connection with other human beings, or not other human beings, other rat beings, I don't know, whatever. But the guy was just basically saying like, addiction comes from a lack of connection or a lack of community. And I think that was it for me. Like I said, I got described, my childhood in previous episodes, father not being around, growing up in the house with, two women, my mother and my sister. Didn't get along with my sister, didn't get along with my mom. I'm the only boy in the house. So home life is not necessarily inclusive, if you ask me. And then school, I'm the suburban kid. I'm the outsider again. So like in all of these spaces, like I was the outsider. I was the odd man out. And so I think I was, that lack of community, that lack of any sort of like engagement or connection. And when I drank, I felt free enough to fake it. Like I could create this connection and engagement with people because, I wasn't dealing with all my insecurities and inhibitions and all that kind of stuff. But it was all, now this was a character. And the next day, the person that everybody get connected with doesn't exist. So I was in the same boat.
So it didn't. What a lot of people I think don't realize when it comes to addiction to anything is that it doesn't fix anything. It's just, adding a band-aid or getting you outside of your head or outside of your thoughts for a little while. But when you're sober again, every single thing that you were trying to escape, as you mentioned, escapism, is still going to be waiting right there for you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a conversation I have with people all the time, in terms of people in their early recovery and then they're going through something and, they may reach out and it's like, man, everything is happening right now. Like it's just pushing me toward, doing this thing. And, and like you were saying, what I can tell you is that I can't tell you what the solution to the problem is, but I can tell you what I absolutely know is going to make it worse. And that would be going back to the thing. So no, it isn't a solution, but, but that's where you go into it. It feels like a solution, I think I equated a lot. This is my metaphor. You can tell me whether it's a good metaphor or not. But imagine if every second of your life you felt like you had to go to the bathroom, like as urgently as you ever felt it, but you couldn't go, but you felt that way every second of your life. You always felt like you just needed to go to the bathroom right now, but you couldn't go. And it was an extremely uncomfortable feeling. And then one day somebody gave you something and for 5 minutes, you didn't feel that way. You felt normal. Those would be the most amazing 5 minutes of your life. And you might spend the rest of your life trying to chase another one of those 5 minutes.
Wow. Sheesh.
So I think the people who get affected by addiction are definitely going through something. They are feeling something. There is something that they are so deathly afraid of having to feel or experience that they will go do something that they know is destructive to them. Like at a certain point, what you're doing is not good for you. And sometimes you don't want to do it, but you feel like you have to, because of where you've gotten yourself. So
That is powerful. That is, I mean, man, that's going in the reels. People need to hear that. And that's an extraordinarily powerful analogy, but at the same time, it's like heart clenching, heart wrenching. That's so sad because as you gave that example, and I would hate to feel like I had to go to the bathroom nonstop urgently. Like I'm about to, go to pee on myself all day, every day. And I'm not trying to be funny because like suicide is not the answer. Like, but the first thing I thought was I'd be trying to find the highest cliff and jump off head first. Like, I don't even understand what what we're talking about. So I really hope it doesn't feel like they have to pee 24/7.
Yeah, I was
But
just
I get
looking
it.
for something.
Yep, and that was perfect. That was I'm like that hit me, and I've never gone through something like this. Maybe I have a perfume buying addiction though. Maybe, kinda,
Yeah,
sort
we can go ahead and take the maybe out.
of. Shout out to Opinionated Sense on YouTube. Shameless plug. Okay, back into the swing of things. What did your addiction cost you?
Everything. And the funny thing about it is that when you really get a chance to look at it and stop and think about the decisions that you've made and the things that you've done and the things that you've lost, you realize it didn't take anything away from you. You gave it all away willingly. Like you gave it up. You saw it coming. You saw things falling apart and you just couldn't, you just didn't have it in you to grab 'em. If you only had enough, it's like the fire alarm go off and you got to decide what you taking. And, you so stuck to this thing that's the thing you grab, that's the thing that you reach for, that you clutch for, and everything else falls away. And so, yeah, I lost everything. I lost my family, jobs, everything that I had used to pull my identity from, my ability to make a living or, my success in my career or me being a black husband and, having them, my child in wedlock and, I'm a father and I'm there every day. These things were a source of pride for me. And I lost them all in pretty rapid succession, or I gave them all away in pretty rapid succession.
So, what would you say to someone who said, you know, this is a disease? I didn't have any control. I didn't have the tools, the know how, the support. And they buck back against your claim or your assertion that they willingly gave it all away. Some people who go through things like this really do feel like a victim and they feel like they didn't have a choice, they weren't in control. So, what would you say to someone who says, I don't like the idea that you suggest I gave it all away willingly?
I can understand that, and it's an ugly thing to have to face. I have to come to terms with. But again, for me, again, viewing something as I gave it away rather than somebody took it or something took it from me, I retain the power. If whatever this thing is took it from me, then I didn't have the power to stop it from taking it. So how do I know I'll have the power to stop it from taking it again? If I look at it as I gave it away, or I can control what I do, I can make decisions that allow me to not give away, everything that I love or means something to me again. So now I'm in control of the situation, and it's going to take some humbling and some just like blind faith in certain like a lot of things are diseases. Bipolarism, is a disease. And if you don't know that that's what you're going through, then you may make some choices and make some decisions because you don't know what's happening. And you're just reacting, to whatever's going on with your body. But once you find out, or once you know that you have a problem with this thing, there's help out there. And it's not difficult to find. And I promise you, as a person who has gone through this, if you reach out, somebody will reach back. And if that person has to be me, I will be that person. If you reach out, there are people out there who need to help you. So the help is out there. It absolutely is out there.
I love that you just said that because one of the things about you is you're very compassionate when it comes to other people. Do you think, you know what? No, I'm going to save that question for part two of this. Never
No,
mind.
man, I had a whole
Um,
story to tell.
um, I want to get a little more in depth. I want this to be the raw, ugly, unfiltered truth. So
All right.
I kind of feel like you're giving us the generalized answers, and we've moved through all of my questions except for two this quickly. So let's specifically focus on either a job or your marriage, either or. And let's walk us through you and how you were then, the type of things you were doing back then, the realization that you were risking this thing or these things, and why you still weren't able to stop.
Man, yeah, I mean, I guess the marriage, that was the longest, slowest, you know, process of things falling apart. My wife, or my ex-wife, she was aware that I had issues with alcohol before we got married. And I moved down here to Texas, and I did about a year and a half white knuckling it. And when I say white knuckling it, I mean, I wasn't in any kind of program. I wasn't going to any therapy. I wasn't talking to anyone. I was just willpower, brute force. Like, I'm just not going to drink because I tell myself I'm not going to drink. And I did that for about a year and a half. And I remember getting a job way out in South Austin somewhere, and across the street was a Detour, a bar, and it just started. It started like it always did. It always starts slowly. I went from not drinking anything for a year and a half to talking to my wife and saying, "Hey, how would you feel if I just had a beer every once in a while? I'm gonna keep it to beer, no hard liquor, and I won't keep alcohol in the house." Like, I had all these rules I was trying to make up to kind of make it okay for me to drink again. And that should have been my first red flag. Like, why is this thing so important to me that I've gone without it for a year and a half? And now I am spending brain cycles trying to come up with a plan that's going to make everybody comfortable so that I can do it again. Like, what is it about this thing that means this much to me? But it started slowly. Started, maybe getting a beer after work. Then it turned to a beer and a shot. Then, I love bars because it's just communal suffering or whatever. It's not that. It's just, a bunch of people killing themselves all together at the same time. It's I don't know. There's something, it's like a bond. It's like a familial bond or something in a bar. Like,
A trauma bond.
yes, it's something I love about being in bars. But I'll go there and I'll get to know people. And they had like traditions where they ring a bell, and whoever rings the bell buying shots for the whole bar. And so now, like, on work hour, I'm talking about on my lunch hour, I'm leaving, I'm going across the street, I'm getting a beer and a shot. Somebody rings the bell. So now they buying shots for the whole bar. I take that shot. Now I feel like I got to ring the bell. I ring the bell. I'm buying everybody else a shot plus myself. And then it starts going. The next thing I know, I'm coming back to work and I'm holding
Lit.
it together. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And, you start lying. I would go get my beer in a shot, and then to try to get the scent off my breath, would go to some like juice spot and get a hot tea or something. Like, I was trying to do all these things. I had all this stuff in my head about how to do this the right way, and how to drink. I thought for a long time that my problem wasn't drinking. I just wasn't doing it right. I wasn't drinking enough water. So the amount of strategies that I went through to try to figure out like how to do this the right way. Like, I'm only going to drink 2 drinks an hour and a glass of water in between every one. Like, this is the level I went to. I'm gonna eat this beforehand. I have to have a meal or some sort of bread every 45 minutes. Like, I was really putting work and thought into how I could drink the right way and like not get into trouble. Not pass out, not black out, not remember something. Like, and you would think, after you passed out and woken up on the steps of somebody's brownstone that you don't know in downtown DC at 3:00 in the morning, like that would be enough to be like, I might need to. That's what they say. Most people, if something crazy happened to them, that's enough motivation for them to stop. But I can list off crazy issue after crazy issue. Coming to what they call the moment of clarity, when you go from being, blackout to your first aware thought. I remember coming to in mid conversation with the police, and this was like after a week after I had just got hired on at the White House. So I had a security clearance in the works, all this stuff, and like it's the middle of the night. I'm nowhere near my home, and I don't know what I've already said to this police officer. Like, we're in the middle of a conversation, not the beginning of a conversation. We're in the middle of a conversation. I don't know what I've already said to the officer. I don't know what we're talking about. I just came to, you know, and just crazy stuff like that. Straining fruit flies out of vodka to drink it because I wasn't going to waste the liquor. Like
Man,
this would happen to normal people, and that would be enough for them to be like, maybe I got an issue. I should try to chill.
for real,
But
for
I
real.
was just trying to find a better way to do it.
I don't even know which is worse, straining insects out of alcohol to still drink it or telling people that you did that. I really don't. I know I said the raw unfiltered, but we that a small filter right there would have been A-OK. That's gross. That's gross. Okay. Okay. So, I mean, but I'm glad you said it for real in all seriousness because like that's something different. That's next level to me as someone who doesn't understand, to be that drawn to alcohol. I'm just shocked. Like, wow. That's outrageous. But what you just said is probably going to resonate with a lot of people when they hear this episode. There are probably people who know someone going through this right now who they've witnessed do something like that, or they themselves have done something like that. So I think it's beautiful that you're willing to open up like this and share it. So let's talk more about, like, you are divorced now, and
Yeah.
this had a lot to do with it. When you think back to all the chances you had and maybe near misses of almost losing your family and being faced with that because you had pride and you were proud to be married, you were proud to be a father.
Yeah.
How do you talk to yourself when maybe your wife leaves for the first time and you finally get her back? Like, where's your mind in terms of I simply cannot do this again, and then how do you do it again?
Yeah. That's, and man, I'm towing a fine line here. So there's some great literature there, literature out about alcoholism, very famous book. But it's amazing if you think you have a problem with alcohol, I would suggest just giving it a read. And I'm not going to mention the title of the book because there's some anonymity involved, but like it's worth a read because this book was written in like the 30s, and for me, reading it in 2019, I think was when I finally broke down and decided to participate in the programs. It was odd to have somebody from the 30s describe things exactly, the way they were happening to me. Yeah, like this thing has been out there for so long. It affects all kinds of people from all walks of life. It's not a morality issue, and it's not a discipline issue. I mean, it's just it gets who it gets. And I don't know, my wife leaving was really tight. I remember the first time she left, I made all the right adjustments. I put myself in a IOP program, outpatient program, an intensive outpatient recovery program. I had to spend a lot of money to put myself in this program. So I was putting money up. I'm going 3 times a week after work, and then also having to attend, other recovery meetings, stuff at the same time. Like I grinded it out for like a good 6 months of just, trying to show her that I was serious about making a change. And I made the change. I was sober, but I wasn't doing it for myself. I was doing it to get my wife back. I was doing it to get my daughter back. And when I got those things back, it's like I had crossed some imaginary finish line and wasn't putting in the same work, because the goal wasn't, when I was putting in the work, the goal wasn't to get sober. The goal was to get my wife back. And I had done that. So I had to learn the hard way that you have to be doing it for the right reasons. You have to be doing it for yourself. It's okay if somebody else is the reason that got you in that room, but at some point, it's got to click over and it's got to be you. You're getting sober because you want to get sober, not because you're trying to prove something to somebody. Because the sad fact is you can do a lot of changing in the situation. We're usually not aware of all the damage that we've done. We don't remember the stuff that we said. We don't remember the stuff that we did. We're not aware of what we've done to people. And you can do this changing, and that's not going to change everybody around you. That doesn't mean that the people that you've wronged in the past are just going to see you differently. overnight. So it has to be for you. You have to be changing for yourself, and you have to be happy that you've changed, and you have to be grateful that life is different. Because if it's for anybody else, it's like a trap. You're going to reach a point where that's not enough motivation for you, and something may go wrong. But if that gets you in the room, great. Don't say I'm not going because you asked me to go. I got to go because I want to go. Now go. If somebody could get you in the room, go take whatever motivation will get you there, but try to make it for you at some point.
Oh, okay. What
I'm
is
sorry.
your No, don't be sorry. We've talked about this it's almost been, no, it's almost been like a year. So every time you talk about this stuff, it sits heavy with me because I know, like, I know somebody very close to me related to me who definitely needs to let go of the drink. Um, but I've seen families torn apart. I've seen people torn apart. I've seen people pass away from cirrhosis of the liver and all kinds of stuff because of alcoholism. I've known people who have OD'd, their children have OD'd, and I know that addiction is a beast. And I mean, not to sound corny, AF, but I just am in awe of the fact that you went through, and you're so young. You're only 42. I had to think for a minute. And you've lived a life. You went through this thing, reached a point, and are now on the other side of it. And every day, still treating it as seriously as you did when you first got into it. And the fact that you are able to and willing to share this with people is a thing of beauty for me because often some people like to pretend they never been through anything and never bring it up. But for you, it's always let me pay it forward or let me participate and let me, help as many as I can. I just think it's beautiful. And sometimes we just need to know that there are people like that who still exist in this world.
I want to say
Next
say this
question.
real quick on that before you go on. Just because you had asked earlier about like how you get out of it and then forget, how bad it was. And I think that's where I was trying to go when I was talking about the book. Because in the book, they mention how like that is the great challenge for almost every alcoholic is to remember how bad it was so that you don't go back. That's what happens. You forget how bad things really got. And it seems like it's just a drink. What's one drink gonna hurt? Because you forget how bad it could be. And that's why working with people and helping someone else and paying it forward is important because I need to remember. I need to be around people who are going through what I went through and to be able to walk them through it or tell them, what my experience was or how or that there is help and point them in a certain direction because I need to remember these things every day. If somebody asks me a question about something and I'm hyping up my friend or I'm giving him a pep talk about how to get through something in terms of this recovery thing, I'm talking to myself. I need to hear it. You just happen to be able to be in the room and get it too. So that's the whole part about like not being able to remember and going back and getting out of something and going back and doing the very same thing again. It's because you forget. And a lot of the reason why I say that there are people out there who need to help you if you need the help is because they need to remember. And it's important for them to be around you and see that so they can remember.
And so that's how, because I remember the first time I heard you say that you were an alcoholic. And then even you also said that you were an addict. And the
Yes.
first of all, it just hit. And I was like, no, you're not. I've never seen you drink. And and I knew that you had been through some things, but you explained the same way you just explained that. You explained to me that you have to say that because you're in recovery. Every
Yeah.
day is a new day. Every day is to continue on that path. It's still very jarring. Like even at the beginning of the episode, you threw me completely off. I was like, well, okay, that's what we're doing. Because my instinctual like behavior is to go, no, no, you're not. You don't drink. But again, I'm not inside of this world. I've never experienced this, but I fully understand why it just still is jarring to hear you say it. Okay, so the next question is, what is your biggest regret about that time in your life?
Man, I regret the people that I hurt. I regret the lying that I did. Um, the opportunities that I wasted that people went out of their way to get for me. Um, I probably, yeah, there are probably a lot of people hurt in ways I never understand, because I stood them up or disappeared, wouldn't return phone calls. I wish I hadn't have left uh, that bad a taste in, a lot of people's mind. And I say that today, like I said, people see me today, and I'm so grateful and so thankful that, uh, I was able to find the programs that I found and get the help that I got so that I could be in a better place. And that there are people now who don't know me for that. And, uh, and I'm grateful for that. But sometimes I feel like I need to remind them, like, "Nah, I haven't, it wasn't always like this. I've done some messed up things, but luckily there is a way back."
Yes. And that's the beautiful thing in this. Because we can't control whether people will forgive us or you would wish they would forget, but even though you need to remember, you wish they forget. Or we can't control whether or not somebody forgives us. But the beautiful thing is you can really start fresh and anew with brand new friends, build a new family, new relationships, new love, and live in your new life. Live in who you are currently. I think it would be maddening and even really make you susceptible to a relapse or failure if you had to just stay around those people. I can only imagine that people who know that part of you are probably still worrying and guessing and questioning, and maybe even some spiteful people waiting on the other shoe to drop. So they can say, I told you so, which is terrible to anyone who is unable to see how great you are and how much of a change you made and how far you've come.
I need them.
But you
Some
can't
days that's
really,
the motivation. Some days I don't
yeah.
drink just to not give somebody that satisfaction. Like I'm that petty. So appreciate y'all.
Whatever gets you through, whatever gets you through. Okay. Now, I just want you to answer this question as a yes or no. You don't have to tell us what specific thing it would be if it's yes. If you could go back and change anything about that time, would you?
Man. No, I guess not. I think having come through it, and I mean, or at least I feel like I'm always going to be in a state of recovery. I'm not recovered. Uh, One of the corny things people say in the recovery world is like, my addiction is in the parking lot doing push-ups right now. He's just waiting for me to slip up. Just waiting for the day where I'm not on my A game and he's gonna get me. So I definitely feel that way. But yeah, I don't know what. Give me the question one more time.
If you could go back and change anything from that time, would you?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think I'm happy to have a story to I think I can do some. I can do some good. I can affect. I tell people now, with the way I used to live and the things that I used to do, the fact that most days today I affect more people's lives positively than negatively. That means something to me, and I think what I went through gives me that opportunity. And if I went through all of that just so I could prevent somebody else from going through it, then it sounds cliche, but I call it worth it. You know,
You really are an interesting and amazing human being. And I'm
interesting.
done being
I give
corny
you
for the evening.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, listen, because I'm jaded at sometimes. I am not used to people doing anything outside of themselves and doing anything for other people at the expense of themselves. Like I said, I know people who have done things and been through things and committed crimes and have turned their lives around, and they never talk about it. They never go back and give to any associations or speak at you know, any place because they want to just completely erase it. And giving back or paying it forward is never going to be a thing for them. So I'm always in awe of people who say, I don't care if it's embarrassing, if I set myself up for people to judge me or mistrust me or, want to talk about me or make fun of me. I'm just going to go out here and be a better person and tell my story. And even if it just helps one person, then I've done something. I've done my job. And I think again, which is part of the reason why you and I created this um podcast. We wanted to do something differently. We were tired of seeing all the negativity, the man versus woman, epic war that's going on right now, all the ratchet, all the ghetto, all the nonsense, all the hurt, the pain. We wanted to bring something fresh and something that could hopefully help people, teach people, cause great, brilliant, calm, in-depth conversations. And so this is akin to that to me. I get to share with the stuff that I already know about you with people out there, and who knows how many people you're about to help. I'm super excited about part 2 of this. So that was all of the questions that I have for you today. Part 2 of this is definitely going to be the recovery part, which I think you might be a little bit more willing to talk about in depth and all the questions instead of skirting around doing that generalization, all that mess you was doing at the beginning. But is there anything else you want to say specifically to the addiction part? Because again, don't jump into none of my questions for the next. I'm not doing this with you tonight.
I got you. I
What
got
would
you.
you like to say?
Yeah. If you are in need of help, if you think you are in need of help, I tell people this all the time. Like I can't. Nobody can tell you you're an alcoholic or an addict or whatever. I personally don't think people who aren't alcoholics and addicts spend a whole lot of time worrying about if they are. So I think if you are in that space, it may be worth it to reach out. And I promise you, if you reach out, somebody will reach back. You can always reach out to me, flan@whatistws.com. Shoot me an email. Whatever I can do for you, I will.
Man, I'm not gonna say it again. I'm tired of being corny. Anyway, this is a beautiful episode. I knew it would be. I think there are a ton of gems in there, and I hope if you're out there and you're listening and this fits you, listen as many times as you need to. Come back for part 2 next week. I think we're just gonna drop these back to back. And most importantly, if you know someone who you think that this could benefit, please share this. Like and subscribe wherever you're listening to as well. We're on all streaming platforms and we're on YouTube. But make sure you share this directly with people that you think need it, or even on your social media platforms, because you never know who might need it. In closing, as always, for the rest of the week until you come and listen to us again, make sure you are good to yourself and be kind to others. Holla.
Holla.